congratulations, Ontario. You have won. I mean, let's think about it now. Was there like almost 200 countries on the planet? And each country obviously has counties, provinces, It's all divvied up into, subsections of the geographical landmass of the conquerors that took over that particular piece of the planet. But anyways, in Ontario, which is just one province, what is it in here in Canada? We got 10 provinces and 2 territories, whatever the hell anyways. But if there's one thing Canadians like to act like, well, the people that are nationalists, all right, like to believe in promoting nationalist bullshit. Well, how about this? This isn't national, this is provincial, but this is something. Are you really proud of this? And, you boomers that brought all this shit on, and your parents, but mostly you boomers that brought all this shit on, are you proud of this fucking headline? Listen to this one. With twice the debt of California, Ontario is now the world's most indebted sub-sovereign borrower. Sub-sovereign, for those of you who don't understand that terminology, just means sovereign. They're talking about countries. So other than actual countries, right? The province, which is just one small part of Canada, one province of Canada, is more indebted basically than every other territory on the entire planet. The big planet we call planet Earth, right? Was it 27,000 or so miles, just the diameter? Forget about the, or circumference, I think it is, right? Anyways, either way, think about what that is. Yeah, it's the circumference, I believe it is, 27. But think about that. On this big, gigantic planet, and I mean it is for us humans that are, 5-6 feet tall for the most part. It's a big old rock floating through space. And in this big old rock floating through space, there's just one little tiny section they call Ontario that, looking from space, it'd almost be on a microscopic level. But the people in that province have assumed more debt than even some countries. And I mean, and when they compared to California, twice the debt of California. California has a population greater, equal, or greater than the entire country of Canada. California does. I mean, think about Los Angeles, Hollywood, all that, right? But yet, Ontario is even more indebted than California to the tune of twice of that amount. Still think it's sustainable? And I mean, the Pan Am Games, the libs, I don't know how these fucking, well, yeah, I do. Because the reason why the Liberals keep in power in Ontario is because, yeah, they spend money like it's going out of style, and they've got more people on that there's more people probably in Ontario that are parasites than there are producers. So, when it comes time to vote, use the force of government or power and the coercive entity of government to further enslave not just their fellow man and woman, but future generations. Ontarians have they got no shame. They'll enslave generations to the power of 10 if it means getting to enjoy living the way their entitled lifestyle that they enjoy in the present. How sick and sadistic is that? Massively. Ontario, the world's most indebted sub-sovereign borough, is plowing ahead with Canada's most ambitious infrastructure plan, risking the censor of Standard & Poor's and underperformance for its $307 billion of bonds. The nation's most populous province is keeping a goal of spending $130 billion over the next decade on work such as roads and mass transit in Ontario, even after S&P dropped its credit grade this month to the lowest level ever. Yield spreads on some of the province's debt reached the widest since January after the ratings move. Ontario, with about 13.7 million residents, wants to carry out some of the projects using public-private partnerships, or P3s. So they like using socialism, fascism, because as we know, they call it the third way, but it couldn't be any worse. I mean, you're just muddying the waters. So there is no one way or the other way. They just muddy it all together and call it the third way. But regardless, an approach it used to build the athletes' village for this month's Pan Am Games in Toronto. While bringing in the private sector may reduce risk or speed up work, Ontario will still have to borrow for the financing. It's not free debt, Mario Angustiniatos, whatever analysis at S&P in Toronto said by phone Thursday. The P3 is just an alternative vehicle for financing. It's not a different way that doesn't cost you anything. You're still adding to your debt. While Ontario's population is about 1/3 of California's, its debt load is more than double that of the biggest U.S. state. And like I said, now we don't have Hollywood. This isn't Los Angeles. S&P cut Ontario one step on July 6 to AA, the fifth highest level. The company cited infrastructure spending that will lead to a very high, listen to this, listen to the statistic, listen to this, 267% debt to revenue level in the next 2 years. They're going to dwarf even, a province is going to even dwarf a whole country of Greece that has 25 years of history, maybe more, but of recorded history. Still think this shit's going to play out good, Canada? Still relying on these provinces. Think about it. Alberta with their, I mean, I don't know how you fucks think that this stuff's going to play out and it's going to benefit you. And maybe in your older age, some of you are thinking, who cares? I'm just going to watch it and it's going to be entertainment value. You're sick, because humanity is going to continue on existing even when you're long gone. And what you're saying is, I don't care. The S&P move has had no material impact on borrowing plans, Kelsey Ingram, spokesman for the provincial finance minister Charles Souza, said via email. Ontario intended to issue about $31.1 billion this fiscal year, which included funds for roads, transit, water infrastructure, schools, and hospitals. The province announced in its annual budget in April. That's down from $44 billion in fiscal 2009-2019. PS3s are an innovative way of financing and procuring large, complex infrastructure projects, said Andrew Forgione, a spokesman for Brad Dogood, Minister of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure. Makes the best use of private sector resources and expertise to provide on-time, on-budget project delivery, which you know has never happened. Man, they're good at putting rhetoric out, huh? How many videos do I got to keep pointing out? Rhetoric or reality? When you see that they're so diverged that they don't even reflect anywhere near what each other represents, you know this is just, it's propaganda, it's bullshit. It doesn't matter if you pay, private, it's not even private, it's cronyism, it's fascism, it's the third way, it's complete central planning, but we'll throw out, some fishing lines, some lures, some hooks, so that we can bring in some private corporations under our fold. That's all it really comes down to. And the ones that do it are willing to sell their entire business model out to a model of theft, oppression, control, coercion, and force. That's what they're saying. So yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, because of course a government contract will reap that company great rewards and benefits at the sake of hardship, pain, and devastation for so many people. But they don't mind. They got no compassion. They got no empathy. It's all just about the dollars and cents. Well, dollars, because they got no cents. Sad, Canada. Sad. This is what the boomers have done to this country. Think about that for a while. Think. Do you want to keep this shit? Is that how much you care? I hope you care a whole lot more for your success as generations that the boomers ever did. Because it's all going to come to a head at some point in time. And you will have to answer. Whether it might not be to me, it might not be to a God, it might, but you will answer. That's almost a guarantee. This is sick. Let's end this madness. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.